All right. Couple seconds late, but it's fine. We're good. What's going on, fellas? We got it. Buccaneers and Bills. Let's go Bucs today. That's the mindset. I'm not optimistic based on what we saw last week from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense specifically. Defense, I think we'll do a good job. Unfortunately, I have Josh Allen in my fantasy league, and I'm expecting a 3-point performance by the end of the first half, and then I get to panic that Josh Allen's going to drop me 3 points, and then he has like 21 by the end of the game because that's what Josh Allen does. But at the same time, not going to be a fantasy bonanza is my guess here. This is actually one of the few games that the sharps are on the over in. But I'm expecting this game to go under. I'm expecting a slow defensive battle. Nobody can run the ball. A lot of incomplete passes, maybe some turnovers here and there.
I will say the only way that this actually legit shoots out here, my mic should be good. The only way this legit shoots out is, like you said, if both teams just completely stop the run and each team is just throwing the ball across the yard. That's the only way I can see, pace of play. Teams are just going back and forth down the field. But realistically, if it's just Baker Mayfield leading the offense, you have no semblance of a right. But to be fair, I guess that's basically been all year anyways. But I'm just kind of worried.
Neither of these teams can run the ball.
They can't. Neither. And both teams are good at stopping the run.
Yeah.
For the most part. So, well, better yet, more passives, considering the fact that on the Bills end, they literally lost their best DB to a torn Achilles. And you guys...
their best coverage player in general is probably Matt Milano, who they lost as well.
Correct. Actually, the one counterpoint to that, also, I don't know why my Twitter's not getting it. You on Twitter? That's weird. The one counterpoint is Vita Vea is out for this game.
He is, yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Why isn't is my Twitter not loading it?
Not loading what?
The stream.
Oh, no idea. Who cares? Whatever.
Yeah. Okay, it's showing now. That was weird. It was glitching on my end. We got a super here quickly from Sharvs. Trade away Waddle and Javonte for Pollard. 14-team PPR, 2 flex. Also have Bijan, Brees, Roshan, Diggs, Ayuk, Watson, Deontay, JSN Downs. Appreciate the advice. I think you're pretty solid at running back, to be honest. In a 14-team league, it's just tough for me to give up wide receiver depth knowing that there's 2 flexes. Now, it's fair on surface. Pollard in a standard 12-team league, but because it's a 14-teamer, because you have good running backs and because you need those wide receivers to keep hitting for you, I don't know. I might hold here. That's close.
I think I would hold too. I like the upside of holding Javonte, at least until Javonte's value goes up, because you might be able to get somebody better for the same exact package than Pollard. You might even be able to get up to Eckler or something like that if we get one more down game out of him. For those of you guys that are wondering, I give this report. Who's in the get right spot this week? I'm playing against Austin Eckler this week, so you better believe go ballistic, dude. 37-point performance is coming.
I'm just gonna say the Chargers ground game has been bad these last couple weeks. Austin Eckler's been pretty inefficient, and now he gets to go up against the 32nd ranked matchup on the matchup chart. I was taking a look at that.
Brutal.
Yeah, no, Eckler
this happened to me with Jamar Chase and the Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase stack. They did nothing for 4 games. And Jamar Chase went for 52 points against me. That's just it was bound to happen. And I think the same is true for Austin Eckler. We got a good game out of him in week 1, but he hasn't really done anything ever since then. And I think this is the game we get a monster Austin Eckler performance.
And I'm sorry, Bush, but I will be vehemently rooting for Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs to go ballistic on the Bills to score 40 points this week. So
honestly, I'm cool with that, man. I have Josh Allen too. I don't know. This season, I came into the year with not a huge high expectation that the Bucs were going to be a great team. I'm glad we look competitive and we beat some teams and stuff like that. I'm never going to cheer for my team to lose games, but if we win 4 games or 6 games by the end of this year, I'm not going to be disappointed. I was expecting.
It's kind of for you guys, a house money type of spot where
the problem with that though is that in a house money dynasty team, typically
you'd want to tank it.
Players, and we have a lot of old players. So
yeah, no, that's the thing. That's the only thing. Not to mention, given how Penix and JJ McCarthy have looked, even if you want a quarterback in the draft, knowing where your guys are going to be picking,
I might still get one.
Maybe, but I think those guys are going to go higher than people think.
Maybe, but it all depends on how many quarterbacks are available on the open market too. Because if Kyler Murray becomes available, that's going to take a team out of the quarterback race and that kind of thing.
So I saw Hayden tweet this out, a connect the dots type of thing. The Brian Windhorst meme.
Yep.
So he tweeted out, I believe it was Hayden that tweeted this. Let me just take a look. Yeah. Kyler Murray's completely off the injury report, but he's not deemed the Cardinals starter just yet, just days before the trade deadline. They can afford to eat $46 million next year because they don't need it. Like they're not paying anybody in dead money by trading him now. And any team that acquires him would also get him for no money this year and $35 million in 2024. So like he's a tradable asset right now to teams that need a quarterback.
That's sneaky. I mean, like, who goes after him is the question.
I think you guys would be like the ideal spot. You guys, the Patriots.
Oh, yeah, we would be a great team to go after. I would love to have Kyler Murray, dude. I'd buy a Kyler Murray jersey tomorrow if we traded for Kyler Murray.
Like, I would say like the mid-tier of NFL teams that like have a good foundation but don't have
Commanders,
like the top quarterback.
Like, yeah. Trying to think who else doesn't have a quarterback. Falcons obviously are the one that stand out as well. That they would be the ideal landing spots for Kyler Murray.
For sure.
I personally like. Would you? Okay, so I'm a Bucs fan. This is what I would be willing to give. I would be willing to give the Arizona Cardinals our one this year, our one next year, and like a 2 and a young player or something like that. Like I'd be willing to give up that much for Kyler Murray, to be honest. And maybe it wouldn't even cost that much. Who knows?
Honestly, you guys might have it like an advantage going your way now, seeing that the NFL is probably scared off quarterbacks that haven't played in a while with the Deshaun Watson issue, and knowing that the Browns gave up 3 ones to go get Deshaun Watson. A buying team might be more wary. Hey, listen, like, I don't know, like, can he still play quarterback the level that he showed before the injury, like this and that?
Maybe all it costs is a 1 and a 2 and a 4 or something like that, because that's the risk that you're inheriting with the injury and stuff.
It'll be fascinating, man. I am curious to see how it's handled.
Yeah, Kyler's a good quarterback, man. Like people rip on Kyler Murray all the time, and like, granted, he's not Patrick Mahomes, and he probably never will be, but he's still a top 8 to 10 quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have him more like top 12, 8 to 12 area. But I mean, like you said, like he creativity, out of structure play, like he's bringing that. I am curious to see, like, can he develop in structure? Like if he can do that, because I think he's got the ability, like out of structure, to be like Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, someone like that.
Well, I think Dave Canales would be perfect for him too. Like that would be such a perfect offensive scheme for him to run. Like, for sure. What we're doing with Baker right now is like actually like, Baker's mobility is showcased a lot more than it would have been in other systems. And if you had an actually mobile guy like Kyler Murray running that system, it would look really spectacular potentially. And Dave Canales made Geno Smith and now Baker Mayfield look like a solid plus NFL starter in his time so far. So if you take an actual good quarterback and you put him in that system, it's possible he'd be really good.
For sure. We got a
better protection than Kyler's ever had in his career too. I mean, we can't run block to save our fucking lives, but we could drop back and pass sets to say the least.
Hasn't Cody Mock been a nightmare so far?
Run blocking, dude. The guy gets blown off the ball in every single fucking run play. I've seen John Ledyard and a bunch of guys like break down film of the run game in Tampa Bay, and it is like such a mess. And it's not Canales' fault at all. It is completely on the interior offensive line and the running backs too.
Yeah. No, trust me, like the Cowboys run game, it's schematic, but also guys up front just need to play better. So
yeah, I mean, you're schematically, you should be elevating the play of your guys. Like, there's like the Tennessee Titan, like Arthur Smith's run scheme. Like the Falcons weren't a good run offense until Arthur Smith got there. You know what I mean?
For sure. In terms of the super here, I would go Downs over Dell, and assuming Sanders is still banged up and it's open backfield, it's got to be. I mean, even
he was practicing today in full, so I would say that like I would still probably go Hubbard, but
I don't think they're tied to the money, man.
Because we might like Singletary it could have been a blip, that game that he had where he was like the lead back there. But also, I mean, these two teams are playing against each other. And what team I trust to score a lot more is the Houston Texans, especially in the why didn't you pick me game for CJ Stroud. I think it's possible that they lay an absolute egg on the fucking, or the Panthers lay an egg. Sorry, they lay an absolute beating on the Panthers.
Yeah. But I mean, with that being said, even if Sanders is healthy for this game, I legitimately think this is going to be like a hot hand type of committee at this point. Because I think the Panthers have been seeing that
Hubbard is way better than Miles Sanders.
He's way better. And like now it got me thinking, because obviously, he had concerns in his draft profile, his draft year specifically, where he fell to the 4th round. Because after his junior year, the guy had over 2,000 yards from scrimmage, and he was projected to be like a high day 2 pick. So now
I remember that 2020 class could have been absolutely ridiculous. Had ETN, Najee Harris, and Chuba also come out that year. Because imagine how crazy that class would have been if we had all, like, I mean, in hindsight, these guys haven't really worked out, but the prospect profiles that they were, of CEH, of Jonathan Taylor, of, J.K. Dobbins and Cam Akers and Antonio Gibson and A.J. Dillon and, all these guys that came out. I'm forgetting somebody, DeAndre Swift, like all these guys came out. Imagine if ETN, Najee Harris, and Chuba Hubbard were also in that class, because they were all juniors that year. They were all draft eligible.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable because, like, obviously his final year at Oklahoma State is what basically drove him down, right? Because he would have been a high day 2 pick. Like, he was mocked there. I think after he went back to school, people were like, "Oh, this guy might go in the first round." He's coming off a 2,000-yard scrimmage season, right? So he had that bad year. Oklahoma State was bad as a rookie, like objectively bad, like metrics, like just looking at him, like you could tell something was off. But these last 2 years, he's quietly been one of the more efficient running backs in the league, like a legit top 15 level efficiency in terms of a running back.
Yeah, I had him as like the RB 6 or 7 in the class because I watched his junior film and I was like, I have to watch this. Like, I can't ignore that this exists. And like, he looked bad as a senior, but he looked like a pretty good prospect when I watched his junior film. So I was like, maybe this guy has something. I remember I had him over like Kenneth Gainwell and stuff in that class, and a lot of people had Gainwell as like a top 5 back.
Yeah, man. I am excited. I have a good amount of him on Underdog just because I thought he was too good of a player to be going in like the 18th round range, and I didn't trust Miles.
Yeah, Sanders, I have a lot of them too.
Yeah, those stocks are looking pretty nice now if he can just win the job outright. How good will Kincaid do statistically today?
Hopefully really well. I'm playing him in my home league, and I traded for him today.
I legitimately think with Knox out, if he gets like 80+% of the routes, like he can have 8 to 10 plus targets in this game. Like he showed it last week. He can be.
That would be great, dude. That would be insane. So let's say that happens. Let's say that's exactly what happens. He has 8 to 10. Let's say he has 9 targets, 74 yards.
65?
Doesn't score a touchdown. He just, 9 targets, 74 yards, respectable performance, but he's up at, 84% of the team's routes or something like that. How many tight ends are you taking over him rest of season other than like your Hawkinson, Laporta, Andrews, Kelsey guys?
At the minimum, he's a top 8 guy, I would say. Where do I have a rest of season right now? Let me just take a look because I think he's already inside. He's my tight end 11 right now. If he shows that with Knox out, he gets that role. I'm moving him over Mayer. I'm moving over Waller. I'm moving him over. Probably even moving over Evan Ingram, to be honest, man. Like that's like.
Ingram's been really consistent, and he's been really consistently like getting the targets. And I think the Jags offense will start to pick it up, and he can score some touchdowns here and there. But he would be right there with I think like Kittle, Ingram, and Goddard as like a top 8 tight end.
And it's so weird this year in particular because I would say that the tight end position has way more value at the top than we're used to seeing. Now, the question I have is throughout the 2010s, even early 2020s, we were consistently told like you want like Travis Kelce or you want a top 3 guy or you want to punt the position. But I'm honestly seeing with how these young tight ends are developing, dude, I'm going down my rest of season rankings. Let's just say hypothetically, Dalton Kincaid shows out to be that guy. He's already my tight end 11. Michael Mayer's shown great signs. Darren Waller's a fulcrum of that Giants offense, even if it's a bad one. Evan Ingram, like we've seen, one of the most consistent tight ends all year. Dallas Goedert, Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews. It feels like there's more names.
There's better options than there's been in years past, for sure. At least in the middle. Like I would say, typically, you get a couple really good seasons with like Kelsey and Andrews types at the top, but there's no middle class usually. It's like you either have those guys or you're streaming or you're taking.
Tight end 5 to 20 is all the same. But now I'm saying like after Kincaid, man, like you're getting into the depths. You're talking about like Jake Ferguson, Cole Kmet.
Dalton Schultz has been pretty solid for the Texans. Like there's been like, I don't know. There's okay options. Like when I made the trade today. So if you guys didn't see, like if you don't follow me on Twitter, the trade I made today was I traded away Kyle Pitts. Because I just traded for Drake London was primarily the reason I was trading Kyle Pitts away. I traded away Kyle Pitts and Kyler Murray, who was sitting on my IR spot, and I already have Josh Allen, so it's not like I really had any use for Kyler Murray. I just picked him up right after the draft was over, and I traded him for Dalton Kincaid and $30 in fab because I had like $10 in fab left. And the reason I made the trade, again, like I'm buying really high on Dalton Kincaid, but I think that's what's going to happen, honestly. Like I really do think that Dalton Kincaid is going to have a breakout second half of the year. And if I paid that at that time when I didn't need Kyle Pitts because I picked up Dalton Schultz on the waivers as a safety net for Dalton Kincaid if he doesn't work out. And then also, I didn't need Kyler Murray because I have Josh Allen. Plus, I don't want to have to watch 2 Atlanta Falcons on any given week in the passing game. Like Drake London's the alpha. Give me Drake London. I'll move Kyle Pitts. Like that was my thought process. So especially with the like first down bonus too, I think Kincaid is more of the chain moving tight end than Pitts is more of like the big play guy. So it actually kind of makes a little bit of sense from that perspective too.
Yeah, no, that makes sense for sure.
I mean, I definitely like lost the trade at face value. Like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I lost the trade, but I think it made my team better. And the fact that I have Allen also stacks up with Dalton Kincaid, which I really like. So
the thing that I found tricky with it, I will say, is I thought like if you're gonna get Fab, I thought you could probably get a little bit more there, knowing that if Kyler Murray's available, it's a home league dynamic. He probably would have went for more than 30 Fab. So then it's
I wish he just had a bit. Like ideally, I would have just wanted a player that he had on his bench to give me, but I didn't like any of his depth. So I was just like, give me Fab, because I had no Fab.
That's the hardest part about trading in home leagues is some of the benches I've seen.
They roster so I'll put Amir on blast right now. Like his bench has like Juju, Chase Claypool, like horrible options that like nobody would ever roster in most leagues.
So I'll just read you a bench of someone in my league, if I can find it real quick. Who's the worst team right now? Okay.
Anyways, let's read off some questions because I feel like we're trolling a little bit. Beanie says PPR start 3: Addison, Higgins, Collins, James Cook, Josh Downs. So for me, I'm going Addison, Higgins, and Collins. They're not really all that close, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, my heart wants to put Cook in there, but at the same time, in a PPR, it's got to be
not
those
against this run defense in a PPR.
No, I agree.
Those three guys all have good matchups too.
I will ask you though, how do you think the dynamic of Tampa's run defense changes without Vita there?
It's still one you don't want to fuck with, especially with James Cook and the Bills run. Like if it was a really dominant running team like the Falcons or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, it'll hurt them a lot more. But like the Bills aren't committed to run the ball, and they don't really do it that well against bad run defenses, to be honest.
And don't get me wrong, James Cook, nice, efficient back, but like he's not the type of back that can take 20 for 215 and just absolutely axe down.
Like if he has a good game, it's gonna be 14 for 78 yards and a touchdown and 2 catches for 35 yards or whatever.
On like 4 targets.
Maybe he has a long one in there somewhere.
Agreed. Again, if you picked him up as an RB2 and you got him in like the 8th round, that's
perfect
solid.
Zero RB guy. Zero RB guy.
For sure.
Because he's going to have his weeks. It's just like the rest of your team needs to be strong around James Cook. And once you get a spike week, maybe try and get a better option if you can.
By the way, after we get through these supers, obviously we'll go through some comments. I got to show the stream something that I found when I was cleaning out my closet. It was pretty funny. Start sit between Aaron Jones, Josh Downs, or Rashad White, half PPR. This is Aaron Jones, not close for me.
Yeah, I got to go Aaron Jones. He probably was eased in last week. I think a lot of people are going to be a little nervous about Aaron Jones right now, but knowing that he was probably eased in is pretty good explanation for why A.J. Dillon outsnapped him. I don't expect that to happen often.
I'm pretty sure you literally mentioned how the Packers medical staff is very cautious.
Very cautious. And I mean, like, am I excited about Aaron Jones the rest of the season? Fuck no, dude. He's 29 years old, and he has played one game this year after one hamstring pull. Like, this is the Keenan Allen situation from last year all over again. But Aaron Jones, assuming he's not limited in any way this week, I would start him for sure.
Cody, you take his Bijan and Olave, you run to the bank, and you cash it in. Because Etienne and Bijan are the same tier for me.
Even if you prefer to Etienne, like, it's a wash.
Okay, what type of running back would this need to be for you to not take the Bijan Olave side? Let's go through our rest of the season right now. So running backs, I'll throw some names at you. I'm assuming you're taking like, obviously, you're taking Kamara and Olave for Etienne.
I would rather have Etienne in that situation.
Really?
I don't want Kamara's he's gonna regress in my opinion.
Fine. I'll replace that name with Swift. You're taking Swift and Olave over him.
Yeah, I would take Swift and Olave.
Saquon Barkley and Olave.
Yeah, I'd take Saquon. I mean, in a shallow league, maybe you go with the like stud factor of ETN, but I would say in like a league format like mine, where it's like a 2 receiver, 2 flex, 2 RB slot, I would probably take the depth of the Swift and Olave or Saquon and Olave there.
Fair. And obviously everybody up, Walker, Brady.
Yeah, I would take Jacobs and Olave as well. I would take the cutoff would probably be Kamara, to be honest, like right around that art, like maybe like Pacheco and Olave. I don't know if I would do that quite.
Derrick Henry and Olave?
No, I don't think so. I think I would take ETN there.
Yeah, probably would.
I think it would probably need to be Jacobs probably or better, I think.
Fair.
Who's I think my RB 12 or 13.
For what it's worth, I have Kamara over Jacobs. I was just kind of feeling you out there.
Yeah, I mean, that could you give me one more week of this like Kamara getting monster target share type of stuff, and I'll get there as well. I'm a little more skeptical. I want to see what Jamal Williams looks like with a full snap share, because he was coming off of a multi-week injury last week.
That's fair.
On a short week, nonetheless, too.
Half PPR offered Pollard plus Watson for Gibbs plus Lamb. I love this move, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I like Watson, but I'm a little bit worried about that Packers passing offense, to be quite honest. I'm a little bit worried about Jordan Love these last few weeks. Gibbs, obviously, a little bit of an unknown when Dave Montgomery gets back. But for me, like, I love Lamb. He's a top 15 overall asset for me. I still prefer Pollard. I just prefer Gibbs over Watson by a pretty decent amount at this point.
I actually am going to disagree here. I think I like
Wow.
the Pollard and Watson side. I think part of the
And
reason
half
why I like
PPR.
it,
It's
it's
closer,
half
actually. Half
PPR.
PPR.
Watson's a big play guy. Pollard and Lamb to me is a wash. You know, whatever you need,
Sure.
whatever. I think it's a wash. And I really think Pollard's one of the better buy lows at running back right
I
now.
agree.
And I actually think, you know, raw half PPR output standpoint, his ceiling is higher than CeeDee Lamb's rest of the season. And Watson versus Gibbs to me is a real conversation because Watson's been playing through injury so far this year, and I think he can bounce back. And Jahmyr Gibbs also hasn't had his bye yet, and Watson has, which is an underrated part of this trade as well. And once he has his bye, we assume David Montgomery's probably back in week 10. So I like Gibbs the rest of the season. I think he's like a back end RB2, but I think I would take a guy that I think has like legit mid wide receiver 2 upside over a back end RB2 type of projection. The counterpoint injury, another injury to David Montgomery. Obviously, if Montgomery was out longer, I would take Gibbs. But
now the counterpoint I have to you is that I think the trade liquidity easily favors the Gibbs and Lamb side, being the fact that Gibbs coming off an high, he's probably going to have a smash blow up week again on Monday Night Football.
Right. I think this is the classic case of like you're buying low on Pollard and Watson because both of them are buy lows right now.
Fair, but I just think after this,
if they materialize as buy lows, you're getting a mid RB1 and a mid to low end wide receiver 2, maybe with even higher upside than that, for a low end wide receiver 1 and a mid RB2 at best. Like I really don't think that Gibbs is going to be much better than like RB 18 to 20 once David Montgomery is back on the field.
Fair, but I'm also including in that you
get one really good game out of Gibbs, which is nice. If you need wins, that would help you.
Which I think too, that could help you maybe even net a better asset than Pollard and Watson. Like maybe, that might
nobody's going to trade for Gibbs when he's on bye in week 9.
After the bye, I mean, you can hold him for a week.
Maybe, but if Montgomery's back, everybody's going to know that.
Fair.
That's why I'm like, I would rather get ahead of the curve on Gibbs and kind of almost sell high on him rather than buy low, because I think you'll be able to get him for way cheaper once Montgomery's back on the field.
I just don't think Watson would be the current market value if I'm going to do that. I would rather just hold Gibbs and have an elite value.
That's fair. If you could get a better receiver, like if it was Pollard and Olave for Gibbs and Lamb, that would make more sense for sure.
Well, that's what I was actually going to point to you is like what wider,
or like Ridley even potentially.
Yeah, if that was like Pollard and Ridley, I would do that. If that was like Pollard and like you mentioned Olave, I would do that. If that was, I mean, it's probably going to be unlikely, but if it was somehow Pollard and Ayuk,
or Devontae Smith maybe too.
Like Ayuk hasn't had a blow up week in these last few weeks. People might be pessimistic because Brock Purdy might be out for this week with the concussion. They might be scared off by Sam Darnold. If you can use that, I would rather do that. But I mean, he's got the Pollard and Watson side here, so I still would prefer Gibbs and Lamb because I think the Gibbs ceiling there from a value standpoint is higher.
I don't know. I view it as selling low. Especially if you have the Pollard side, then I think you're just selling low on your players, and I would give it another week at least for sure.
Oh, this is no slight against Pollard for the record. Like this is just me loving Gibbs and Lamb.
Kincaid or Waller?
Waller as of now, Kincaid, if he has a great game, I have no problem moving over Waller. I just know what Waller's role is right now. I just want to see what it would look like for Kincaid without Knox in the lineup.
Yeah, I think I'm a little scared by Levante David right now. I think Kincaid is my tight end 10 on the week right now.
Oh,
so I think he's a solid play. Season. I mean, this week I would say for sure you have to go with Waller. But I do think Kincaid is like close enough that if you were just because I do this sometimes. Sometimes you just want to watch a guy on Thursday Night Football when it's close. Like I'm fine doing it if you want to do that, but I think Waller is the process play.
What was the term we phrased in week 1 or the term we coined when Sky Moore was playing? Like have some fun or something like that.
Yeah, we're YOLOing it maybe or something.
No, it was something in particular like don't be boring. Or if somebody's in the chat and they remember what we were calling,
live a little is what we were
live
saying.
Live a little.
Yeah, we're living a little.
Yeah, we were dead after the night.
Bijan and T. Higgins or Jamar Chase. I want Bijan and T. Higgins there as good as Chase is. I actually don't think this is outrageous for Jamar Chase. I think this is
PPR.
Yeah. Like I think T. Higgins and Chase, like we've seen a multi-year sample size that they actually produce relatively similarly.
It says half PPR anyway, so it's still Bijan and T.
Yeah, like you got Bijan, you get an elite RB1 for an elite wide receiver 1. That's a wash, and then you pocket a wide receiver 2 like T. Higgins, basically.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So let's kick off to the comments. This is actually what I was going to show. So I was circling through my closet, and I found my helmet from when I was playing, I think it was, Pee Wee football, right? So it's not got the face mask on it at all, but it's got the logo and everything.
Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. That is a bucket and everything, bro.
We got the fucking medium shut.
Yeah, that's
dude.
classic.
I tried to put this thing on. My head could not even squeeze into it.
That's wild.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I wanted to just quickly shout out real quick before the game actually starts. Big shout out. If you guys are new depositors on Underdog Fantasy, you guys know the drill. Of course, use promo code FSE. You have a new customer special right here. A Josh Allen boosted pick'em slip that you can use to build out a pick'em lineup. Of course, 5 picks, and you can win up to 20x your money. And of course, use promo code FSE. That'll be linked down below in the description. Let me just rattle off a couple comments. I am actually headed out to a sports bar to watch this game. My girlfriend's last day at work was today, so we're gonna go celebrate that she's got a new job and all that kind of stuff. So I'm only going to answer a couple questions. I don't know if you're going to be on here a little bit longer, but I'm probably just going to rattle a few and then hop off of here.
Yeah, and I'll answer probably up until like 8:05, 8:10. I'll stay on a couple minutes.
Okay, perfect. So Andrew's the first one in here. He says traded Lamb, Mostert, and Nico for Bijan, Ayuk, and Higgins. I like the Bijan side of that trade there. He says already had Brees, Diggs, ARB. Yeah, you definitely won that. And yes, absolutely, Bijan's still a late year league winner type of guy. Standard league, should I start Downs, Roshan, or Tank Dell?
Now, what's the latest on Roshan coming back from that concussion?
He practiced on Wednesday. He cleared the protocol.
Because in a standard league, if he's ready to go, I'm putting him in my lineup.
Right, but do you think the coaching staff is just going to let him start with what?
Probably not start, but in a standard league, like Josh Downs is more of a slot PPR wide receiver.
I guess, but he showed some big play. I think I would go Downs because I would want to wait and see on Roshan and Tank Dell for that matter because he's coming off of injury as well. So I think I would roll with Downs there, Trident.
For the record, it'd be an easy Downs for me if it was half or full PPR. And
yeah, if we got some kind of report that Roshan was going to get the bulk of the carries or something, maybe. But I think that it's going to be a committee, at least in the first game back when Roshan and Foreman are both out there.
And it's still a Bears committee.
Yeah, literally. And it's Tyson Bagent-led offense.
Anderson says, sell high on Travis Etienne and buy Austin Eckler. I would prefer Eckler to Etienne. As much as I love Etienne, if you could make that upgrade straight up, I would do it.
Yeah, I would as well. Pick flex full PPR. DJ. I'm going Calvin Ridley here. I'm going back to the well.
Let me see who I have highest here because I did lower Ridley pretty significantly in my rankings this week. I think it should still be Calvin Ridley. Yeah, I have Calvin Ridley the highest. My next closest because Deontay's pretty close.
Where do you have Calvin Ridley this week? Because I guarantee I got him. I'm literally
got him way higher
I haven't really moved him all that much.
I can tell you right now, I got him way higher than him. He's a fringe top 30 play for me this week.
I have him at 20. So,
and I get it. You know how much I love Calvin Ridley. Until he goes out there and plays like it, I have to dock him a little bit. And I understand, like, you could look at the peripherals, whatever, like, it's fine. Go out there, play some football so I can rank you back as a top 20 guy.
I think he's going to this week. They got a good matchup against the Steelers secondary. So I'm going to hop off here if you want to handle some more questions. Take it easy, fellas. Go Bucs. Hopefully you guys win your fantasy matchups. Dalton Kincaid, Hive. Let's ride. Hopefully he goes off tonight. Take it easy.
For sure. So we left off at Andrew. Let me just take a look. Tank Dell versus Chris Godwin full PPR. Could be Chris Godwin there, Hunter. Flex Javonte Williams or Calvin Ridley in full PPR. I'll still go with Calvin Ridley. It doesn't feel great given how he's played these last few weeks, but I think Javonte with the offense right now is just not something I want to be trusting. Start sit Christian Watson, Calvin Ridley, then Burrow or Cousins. So Calvin Ridley versus Christian Watson is pretty close. I do have Calvin Ridley higher, but I guess I'm just a sucker for pain, I guess. Burrow versus Cousins. This is actually a pretty decent toss. Let me just see where I have him rank. I have Kirk Cousins at 11 and Joe Burrow at 10. So I'd actually slightly prefer Joe Burrow. Obviously, San Fran's defense very strong, but if there's one way you could beat them, it's outside the numbers. And as we know with the Cincinnati Bengals, that's the primary focus of their offense. So I'm still expecting big games from both Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in this game. I trade Kirk for Higgins straight up. Tell me I won. Relatively close. I would rather have T. Higgins because of the upside that I see with that offense. Right now, the Jags just kind of seem discombobulated, and I still trust Calvin Ridley to potentially bounce back. So I'll go with T. Higgins, but relatively similar type of range. Christian Kirk having, a higher floor. T. Higgins, I think, having a higher ceiling. Pick 4, Amari, Aguilar, Mixon, Dillon, Najee, MVS, and Pirine. So I'm going with Joe Mixon's my clear one out of this group. I would probably go Najee and Amari DeMarcado next. And then the next one's really, 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 really gross. Probably go AJ Dillon, but I don't like those options. So Dillon, Najee, Mixon, and Amari would be my answer there, Javon. Over the league mate of mine, Michael Thomas and Javonte Williams for Ramondre, and he said no. I also have Calvin Ridley, Nico Collins, Olave, and CD. Should I offer Ridley instead? I would not. I would honestly just keep your side. I'm a little bit concerned with Ramondre, given how bad the Patriots offense is. Running backs: Kamara, Etienne, Herbert, and Javonte. I need Ramondre is in for positive regression. He could be. I just don't think the Patriots offense is very good, to be honest. I just don't want to hitch my wagon on it right now. What would you add to Drake London to acquire CD in a 12-team Superflex Dynasty start 10? It's all cost dependent based on your league market, but if you can somehow get it done for Drake and like a 1, I would say Drake and a 1's probably about equivalent value. I value Drake at about, 1 and a 2, CeeDee Lamb about a 2 and maybe a second. So if you can get that done, that's what I'd be willing to pay. Darrell Henderson or Gus Edwards full PPR. Believe I have Henderson higher, but let me take a look for you there. Relatively same range, RB3s. I actually have Gus a little bit higher. They're very close for me. So right now, I currently have Gus Edwards at my 28. Darrell Henderson's my 29, actually. So it's between the matchup there. Plays the Dallas Cowboys. We don't necessarily know what that Rams committee is going to look like right now. Obviously, Darrell Henderson was the guy last week, but I just don't really trust the Rams coaching staff there for the matter of where the running back touches are going to go. Sorry, I can't even talk right now. I have Addison, London, Higgins, DJ Moore, and Collins trying to consolidate and get someone like Ayuk. Any advice, please? I also have Mostert, A-Chain, and Bijan set at quarterback and tight end PPR. If you can get up to Brandon Ayuk and you can maybe use, I would say Drake London is a guy I love, but if you can use Drake London a little plus or Jordan Addison a little plus to get to Brandon Ayuk's had a couple of down games. Maybe it's swingable at that type of price. So where do we leave off here? Let me take a look. Okay. Should I trade Jamar Chase and Elijah Moore for Devontae Adams and Brandon Ayuk full PPR redraft? I probably do this, but man, it's tough giving up Jamar Chase, but I'd probably go for Devontae Adams and Brandon Ayuk there because I think Devontae Adams is a good enough player to, absorb that type of downgrade. And Brandon Ayuk is just so much better than Elijah Moore at this point in terms of fantasy. So, I mean, in real life as well, but yeah. Full PPR start, B-Rob Jr. or Roshan Johnson or Tajay. Give me B-Rob Jr. their witness. It's not a great matchup, but at the same time, I know the guaranteed volume that I'm getting with B-Rob. Don't necessarily know what I'm getting there with Roshan and Tajay. Who you got for first touchdown tonight? The biased side of me wants to say Stephon Diggs, but I don't know. I feel like the Bucs are just going to score first randomly out of nowhere, like a Mike Evans 45-yard bomb, third possession of the game after both teams punt. I can kind of see that happening. It's tough to say, though. This late, neither team can run the football. So typically the cop-out answer would just be saying, oh, whoever's running back, you project to win. But James Cook doesn't really get many carries on the goal line. And if anything, Tampa Bay is a really good team at stopping the run anyway. So I would probably lean on a big play from one of the wide receivers. I could see Gabe Davis doing it too, to be honest. Any concern for Waddle's drop in efficiency this year? Dynasty sell? Not necessarily. I still like Jalen Waddle. Again, if somebody's willing to, value him as a mid-wide receiver 1 and you want to transition at that point, sure. But given the fact that he hasn't had his blow-up game quite yet, I would just hold Jalen Waddle, to be honest. He's still a top 12 guy for me. Standard League, probably 6-2 after this week. Should I try and trade Justin Jefferson, my team? Cousins, A.J. Brown, C.D. Gibbs, Breece Hall, Schultz, random flex players like Downs. I honestly would keep Justin Jefferson at this point. With the Vikings beating the 49ers, that completely changes their complexion of their season. If they lose that game against the 49ers on Monday Night Football, they're 2-5. They're probably trading Kirk Cousins after the season or letting him walk or whatever the fuck their contract situation is there. I actually think he's a complete free agent, so they might just let him walk. But because they won that game, they're now 3-4. Justin Jefferson's going to be back in 2 weeks. If they go like 1-1 in the stretch, or even if they go 0-2 and you're getting Justin Jefferson back for the sound end of the season, I just think he's going to come back for this Vikings team. I honestly said a few weeks ago that I was really concerned he wouldn't come back, but given the fact that this team's still in contention in a weak NFC, I think they're going to bring him back, and I think they're going to try to go for it. We got a super here from Benjamin. Appreciate that. He says, half PPR Addison and Waddle for Diggs. Hold Addison. It depends how deep your league is. If this is a shallow league, I don't mind going up and paying the price for a hammer like Stephon Diggs. I just think the value of a replacement he gives you is so massive. So to be honest, I probably want Stephon Diggs here. Probably want Stephon Diggs. That's a pretty fair price, though, I would say. Bijan, Pacheco, Breece, DK, Puka. I need one at running back and another at flex. Bijan's going to be the running back for me, and honestly, Breece versus Puka. Wow. I have Breece as my RB5 this week. I changed my answer. I'd probably go Breece and Puka, but what's the scoring in this format there, Juan? If this is a half PPR, I would lean both the running backs. If this is a full PPR, I would go Puka over Bijan, as crazy as that sounds, just because of the matchup that he has this week against the Titans. You got to consolidate, brother. I don't want to sit any of those guys on a week-to-week basis. What the heck? Trade away Kittle and Mostert for Kelsey. Already love that move for first and foremost. I already have Brees and Swift for running backs. Good value. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Kelsey is a complete difference maker at the position. As much as I love George Kittle at the same time, Travis Kelsey's just giving that consistent, 17, 18 plus PPR points per game. So I would swing that for Kelsey because I think he is that legit difference maker. Is Puka approaching top 5 dynasty status? I saw people saying they would take him over Wilson, Olave, Waddle, etc. I think he's got to be, man. If he continues doing what he's been doing all year, he's got to be considered a top 5 dynasty wide receiver. Right now, I'd probably have him more so in the 8 to 12 range, given the fact that we're still, 7 weeks into the season. I just want to, hold steady, cautious there, knowing that Olave, Wilson are already studs in their own right. But if Puka goes out there, has like 1,300 plus yards, 6 or 7 plus receiving touchdowns, and is the fulcrum of the Rams offense moving forward with both Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford aging, like, probably taking Puka Nacua. It's how crazy we've gotten here, man. It's crazy. And I just completely repeated crazy, but that's kind of the point we get to, 40 minutes into the stream. Trade Allen for Goff and Pollard / Bijan. I'm 4-3. Absolutely in a heartbreak. I would take either of those running backs. If you have the preference, I would go with Bijan Robinson, but as much as I love Josh Allen, that's just such a big time upgrade in my opinion. Assuming this is a single quarterback redraft league. If this is like a super flex dynasty, obviously give me Allen. So where do we leave off here? By the way, I'll probably go a couple more minutes and then sign off and get ready for the game. So let me just see where I left off. I believe Wanye. Was it the Wanye comment? No, we already got to that, I believe. I don't know where we left off. Okay, give me a moment. This is tricky sometimes. I actually have no clue where we left off. I'm honestly just probably going to start I think it was right here. No. Okay, I got it. Mo. Need to start one. Deontay Johnson must be hurt. Gabe Davis or Hubbard. Also Kincaid, half point PPR. D Johnson might be hurt. He played last week. I think he should be fine. Is there any more reports on Deontay Johnson not being active? I didn't see anything when I was cycling through it. He's back on the injury report. Is it anything significant? He didn't practice today. Okay, that's what happened. He didn't practice today, but he practiced full yesterday, I believe, and I think he was available to the media. So I have a feeling this is just going to be a rest day. Obviously, stay tuned to that prior to Sunday. But if you have to make a choice regardless, I would hold out for Hubbard, to be honest, because I do think that Deontay Johnson will play there, Mo. Though I will say Gabe Davis and Deontay Johnson are close enough in my rankings anyways that if you want to go in a half-point PPR with the upside there, I don't mind going Gabe Davis. But yeah, I think Deontay Johnson should be able to play. FSC has the best fantasy content out there. Appreciate that. Smash the like button. Yeah, if you guys haven't already done so, maybe each of us have gotten to the questions. I've gotten to your question, and you got that answer. Make sure you leave a like down below. And of course, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Like I say on every video, we are on the road to 40,000. Appreciate you guys for that continued support, and shout out Casey for telling you guys to hit that like button. It does help us a lot. So we left off at Casey. I've got it. Would you drop Warren Hubbard or Darrell Henderson for Kincaid? Kind of tricky. I would rather just hold all those guys that you have, knowing that you have Goddard, but I do like Dalton Kincaid quite a bit rest of the season. Dalton Kincaid tonight or stick with Goddard? I would still stick with Goddard, like I kind of mentioned with Mo. 12-team half PPR, no premium. Probably saying Goddard. Just want to hear your thoughts. Yeah, I would go with Goddard there, Andrew. Saquon and Olave for CD Ramondre. Who wins? Relative. Wow. I would need the scoring format here. I'd probably go CD Ramondre, but that's close there, Sam. That's close. 5-2, 12-team standard PPR. All my running backs are low RB2 or worse. Do I trade one of them plus Lamar for Josh Jacobs and Lawrence? I don't mind making that type of move if you need a running back. Because you're 5-2, I'm assuming you have a very strong team otherwise. So I don't mind making that move there. Hit that like button. Yep. Just like Casey said, like Javon says, if you guys are watching, make sure you hit the like button there. Trade Waddle and Javonte for Pollard. Yes, I would there, Sharps. I believe you super chatted that anyways. Which side in PPR, Addison and Bijan or Keenan Allen and Breece Hall? I would honestly go Breece Hall and Keenan Allen there, to be honest there, Mike. To be honest. But with that being said, I said I'd get off at 8:10. I gave you guys a couple more minutes. If you guys have any more comments, any more questions, make sure you get to the Sunday morning live stream. And if you haven't already done so, if you're a member of Flock Fantasy, we also do those Saturday morning live streams. So stay tuned for that. Less people in there, less convoluted. We'll get to as many questions as possible. But with that being said, if If you have any players in this matchup, hopefully do good. And of course, if you guys are playing in your fantasy matchups, you need those dubs. You need to secure your playoff spots. Hopefully you guys secure those dubs. With that being said, peace out. Enjoy some Thursday football.